Bonjour, welcome to Wahsa Distance Education Center's radio Zoom classes. This is MEL3E, grade 11 workplace math, and I am Bronwyn Slate.
Unfortunately, this week you cannot participate live as our studio is under some construction and you can't call in. So this lesson is pre-recorded, though we are broadcasting on the radio at 91.9 FM and on the television at Bell Express View channel 972. Usually you will be able to join live through the Zoom link or call into the Wahsa studio to ask questions, but for this week, that is not a possibility. Still, how to know how to join the Zoom class with a link when it is available. So you should have a link that's provided from your DEC or from me, your teacher, to join the class. So you just click on that link and then a screen will pop up and you then choose to join with the computer audio. Then you will get a message that says the class will be recorded. So you click got it, as all of our classes are recorded. So I can upload them onto YouTube to share with other students, and so you can refer to them again. I don't expect students to share their videos, so if you do join on Zoom to watch and ask questions, I encourage you not to share your video just so that your privacy is respected. Then on the bottom left hand side of your screen, you can click the video and microphone icons to turn them on or off. You also might have a little headset, which is what my image is, as I'm wearing headsets for the audio. And again, I encourage you to not have your video on. I don't have my video on. It just means that we don't have as much going on the screen and respects folks' privacies. And I ask you to keep yourself muted unless you are asking a question. Then to leave the class, you can click on End, which is at the bottom of the right-hand screen. If you get kicked out, you can rejoin the class. That's fine. If you leave, you can rejoin the class at a later time during the session. That's totally fine. You don't need to actually end if you need to step away from your computer, as you're muted and your video is off, so we won't actually know if you're at the screen or not. So no need to end if you need to step away and return. That is totally fine as well. All right, I just also want to go through how to get subtitles, if that is something that would be useful for you. So if you're in full screen mode for Zoom, you have this menu along the bottom of your screen, and you have an icon that says show captions, like a CC button. You just click on that and captions should then work. If you have captions selected and you prefer not to have captions selected, you can also click, if the captions are showing, then you click, it will say hide captions. So you can click that to hide them, whatever works best for you. Unfortunately, the captions most likely won't get everything that I'm saying exactly. I know I speak quickly, there's lots to jam in, and I might not enunciate as well as the caption settings would like. So I apologize for that if things aren't aligning as best as they could be. If you have your Zoom in a small screen, it looks slightly different. You have to click on these three dots, that the More menu, and then click on Captions. Then the screen will change. A little window, you can then click on Show Captions if you'd like to show captions, or it'll say Hide Captions if you would like to hide the captions. So again, this is going to be depending on what your screen looks like. It'll be a little bit different depending on what your needs are. I'd like to go over the difference between Radio Zoom and IL courses, as this is something that can be kind of confusing. So first, they are the same because the course material, the evaluations, and resources are all the same, whether you are registered in the Radio Zoom class or in the IL course, the independent learning course. Nothing is different in terms of the actual course material and process. Anyone is welcome to listen and participate in the Radio Zoom classes. You don't just have to be registered in the Radio Zoom course. You're still welcome to join us. And all of our lessons are recorded and posted onto YouTube shortly after airing. So this is something that everyone has access to, whether or not which version of the course you were registered in. So then how are they different? The Radio Zoom has a schedule of 4 terms per the year, and the classes run for 9 weeks. So during sessions, I explain the course concepts and show examples working through all 20 lessons, but those are spread out over those 9 weeks, and we start at the beginning and work through up to the whole 20 lessons. The IL courses, on the other hand, are open from the start of the year to the end of the school year, and students are welcome to start and finish those courses at any time, opposed to following along day by day like you can at the Radio Zoom class. So you can finish them any time between September 6th, 2022 and June 16th, 2023 for this year. If you're registered in the Radio Zoom class, the idea is that you are following along and handing material in at the same pace as we're going through week by week, and that you complete your full credit during that 9-week course. There is a potential to roll your course over if you don't finish it within those 9 weeks, but that's something to have a conversation with us directly to figure out what would work best for you. But that's really how they are different. All right, our Radio Zoom schedule is Monday through Thursday from 9 until 10 in the morning. And we are in our first week of our 9-week course. So you know what to work to submit for marking as we go along. The support questions, the ones with a little pencil icon, are not for marking. You can decide which ones and how many to do. If you understand a concept, feel free to skip questions. That is totally fine. You don't have to do them all just because they are there. If you're struggling with concepts and you'd like more practice, please ask for more practice, and I'm happy to send you some. I also can support you working through questions if you need help. Ask questions so I can help you. The key questions, the ones with the little key icon, are the ones to submit for marking. So these ones, you need to do all the questions. You need to show all of your work, your steps, your thinking, so that I can understand what it is that you understand. And if you are making errors, I can help figure out where those errors are coming from and hopefully improve your understanding. So then how do you submit your work for marking? Well, there's 3 methods. The first method is to scan and send your work electronically. You can scan your completed work through a device. If you have an Apple device, the Notes app has a scan function, and if you have an Android device, the Google Drive app has a scan function. These are free apps that generally come with these devices, and so are already on them and are fairly straightforward to use. If you need some support learning how to do that, I have videos on my YouTube channel that walk you through step by step how to use both these individual apps. They're under my playlist called the Tech Tutorials, and you can follow there along to learn how to do that. Once you have it scanned, you can then send it either by email to studentwork@nnec.on.ca and CC it to bronwyn.slate@nnec.on.ca, or you can send it through Facebook Messenger, where my name is B. Slate Wahsa. A quick moment of recognizing why I'm suggesting scanning versus just taking a picture. You can take a picture if that is what works best for you. If that's the only option that you have, that's fine. But if you scan using an app on your phone, it means that it's easier to create one file with all your pages so we don't lose anything. It's faster because it simplifies the image, and that makes it a smaller file, which is easier to send. This is why I encourage scanning, but again, if that doesn't work for you and you need to take pictures, if that's the best way for you to send work electronically, that is okay. If you want to learn how to scan with your smartphone, with your device, I'm happy also to walk you through that and to support you if watching the videos isn't a great option for you, just let me know. I'm happy to support however I can. All right, so our second method is to drop off your work in Sioux Lookout. We have an outdoor mailbox at our location 74 Front Street. We are the bright red building next to the post office, and we have a small white mailbox next to our side entrance. So just put your work in there and we'll get it back to you as soon as possible. The third method is to hand your work into your DEC. Your DEC can either send your work through the Express or fax it to 807-737-1732 or toll-free fax to 1-800-463-7852. Students are also welcome to hand in their work by fax if that's something you have access to. We just ask that you give us a call or send me a message to let us know that you have sent a fax, as we've had some instances where things get faxed, but they don't get received. So we want to make sure that we get your work. If you'd like to connect with me through social media, both my Facebook and my YouTube channel are under the name B Slate Wahsa. You can friend me on Facebook and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And then every time I upload one of our Radio Zoom classes videos, you will get a notification so that you know it is there. It's easy to find. As I've said, all of our Radio Zoom classes are recorded and posted to YouTube shortly after broadcasting. So everything is there for you to find as accessible as possible. Also, on my channel, there are short videos that explain common errors and confusing concepts. So this is a really good place to go if you are struggling with something, or if you're feel like you're missing a piece that isn't necessarily a new concept, but is something that you've struggled with in the past. There might be something there on my YouTube channel that addresses this and just makes it a little bit easier to find that help opposed to doing a general online search. Math is a really visual subject, so I strongly encourage you to access the videos. Listening to me only on the radio is not going to give you the full experience, and things most likely will not make as much sense as if you access the videos and see what I am talking about on the screen. If you cannot join me live through Radio Zoom, if you cannot access the YouTube videos, you don't have reliable internet, so those are not options, let me know and I'm happy to send you a copy of all of our recordings so that you still can get the full experience and set yourself up for the most success. If any questions or concerns, please reach out and contact me. My primary focus in my position is to support you, my students. You can send me an email at bronwyn.slate, that's spelled BRONWYN.SLATE@nnec.on.ca. Connect with me through Facebook, where my name is B Slate Wahsa. B Slate is all one word, second word Wahsa. Give me a call at the office at 807-737-1488 or toll free 1-800-667-3703. My office hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Though I teach from 9 until 11, so that's not a great time to try to get a hold of me.
It is our first Throwback Thursday where we're going to be focusing on lessons 1 through 3. So I'll explain to you what that is. So we're going to start reviewing a little bit already. And why we're reviewing already? Well, we are reviewing because research has been done, started by and published by Hermann Ebbinghaus in 1885, and he's coined the phrase the forgetting curve. And so this is the fact that when we learn something new, we understand, if we know it, we understand to the best of our ability. And then immediately as time progresses, as days go by, we immediately start to forget it. And right after we learn it, we forget it really, really quickly. So we lose that information really, really quickly. And over time it slows down. But after just a week, we've already lost 60%. We only remember 40% of what we learned a week ago. So we know that if we often in schools, often in classes, students learn something, review it for the test, and then completely forget about it. And by the end of the course, when they're doing their exam or culminating, they're like, what was that? What did we even did we even learn that? I have no recollection of it. Or you ask a student at the beginning of the year, what did you learn last year? And they have no idea. So it's because of this practice, of this reality is that we forget things really quickly and we lose a lot of that information. So further studies have been done that if we review, if we go back to that information frequently and consistently, then we don't forget it as much, obviously, because we're reviewing it, we're going to remember it, but we don't forget it as fast either. So if we review, then we still forget it over time, but it doesn't happen as quickly. And so if we keep reviewing that information, we continue to retain it because we continue to visit it again. And we also, as we forget it, it takes us longer to forget the same amount. So it's really beneficial to come back to material and check in with it, touch base with it, and make sure that you know what it's talking about so that we don't have to, at the end of the course, it's not like, what was the first unit? What were we talking about that first week? We've revisited it. So every week, generally, we're going to be doing a Throwback Thursday where we review the previous material as well as the weeks before it. So we won't, obviously there's not enough time to go through every single lesson, every single question, but we're going to continue, we're going to touch back to that material so that by the end of the course, hopefully everything is still sort of fresh in your mind. But before we dive into that, we're going to do brain activation, or mental math. So we know that I'm not an advocate for math mad minutes. Doing something that is based on memorization doesn't really help us learn facts. It takes up space in our brain that we don't really have room for. So we end up pushing that information out of our brain if we're not using it frequently. Whereas if we learn strategies that we can apply to various situations, that's much more useful. Remembering the strategies opposed to the facts is much more beneficial. So in this class, we focus on learning strategies, and we spend time every day doing just a little bit of mental math to reinforce those things. So our question today, instead of sharing by ones, we're going to share by fives. So we're going to say, okay, if I do 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So instead of going through and having like 5 groups and sharing by ones all the way through, that's one way that you could totally do it and do it by ones. But we can do it where we share groups of 5, or we could have done it in groups of 2 and then see what happens. So 5 is a fairly friendly number. So we did it with 5s and we got to 30 exactly. So we can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups. And so 30 divided by 5 is 6. So you can share not just by ones, but you can share by more than one, which sometimes is quicker. And we often do that with 5s or 10s because they're fairly friendly numbers. That's why I did this example with that. And in the future, we'll look at something that's a little bit more complicated and how we would go about doing it. Okay, so before we do some actual question practice, we're just going to review the highlights of what we've done this past week. So lesson 1 was earning an income. So we talked about salary, which is your pay based on a yearly amount. So your salary is always, they might use the word annual or yearly, both of those. So for the year, salary is for the year, but it's paid in regular intervals. So it's not, you don't just get paid one lump sum at one moment, you get paid at intervals over time. So they usually are monthly, semi-monthly, which is twice a month, bi-weekly, which is every second week, or weekly are the fairly common ways that people get paid. Maybe there are other ways, but those are the most common ways. Piecework is when you get paid based on the number of items produced or sold. So you get paid per piece of work. And then we also looked at job advertisements and found them in newspapers, job agencies, and job banks. And they include details such as your rate of pay, your benefits, any education, experience, and skills needed. So we just sort of understood those because that's really important when you're looking for work. Yes, so we're not going to go through the success criteria. We already did those. Hopefully you can do all of these things. So then the same with the lesson 2. So was commission and hourly rates. So hourly rates are earnings based on how many hours you worked. So it depends on the exact hours. It's not a set for the year. Canada and Ontario has a minimum wage. So you have to earn at least $15 an hour in Canada for the general adult wage. So that's really important and really something that worker activists have really worked hard for. Then we talked about overtime, which is usually time and a half or 1.5 times the your usual rate, and this is for any time over your usual daily or weekly hours, you get paid that extra. It doesn't have to be time and a half. It could be double time. That's dependent upon your employer, but it is at least time and a half, 1.5. And then commission, the earnings are percentages of the total sales. So you could have base wage plus your commission, but that commission rate, you have to find the percentage of whatever it is that you sell or the profits from your sales. All right, again, we have criteria from this lesson. And so hopefully you are able to and you understand all of these things. And then our third lesson this week was gross and net pay. So gross and net income. Gross is your total earnings throughout a given period before any deductions are made. So this is just based on that hourly or salary base, how much you're getting paid. And then your net is your take-home pay. So the amount that employees earn after all payroll deductions are subtracted. So net is what you actually take home. Gross is what you actually make. Standard deductions that we focused on that all employers take off of your paycheck and you contribute to, which then benefits you in the long run. CPP, which is Canada Pension Plan, which is your income when you retire. EI, employment insurance, which is income if you're other unemployed and you need to apply for that. So that gives you a bit of a pay while you're looking for work. And this also includes parental leave if you are on leave as a new parent. And then income tax, which the income tax we pay pays for services like healthcare, education, national defense. So we all pay into that in order to pay for those services overall. We talked about monthly expenses, particularly fixed and variable expenses. So fixed, it means that it's the same amount each week or each month, and they are generally paid at the same time each week or each month. So you know it's going to happen, you know how much it's going to be, you know when it's going to happen. The variable expenses are things that change in amount or when or how often you pay them. So these are things that you can sort of predict. Some of them you can sort of predict that are going to happen, but you don't know exactly how much it's going to be or exactly necessarily when you're going to need to pay it. Or this would include like emergency funds or like bigger repairs or things like that you might not know exactly need to happen, but it's variable. It changes. You're going to have to do, say you need to fix an appliance in your house, you need to fix your stove. You're going to do that. You're not going to know that this month is going to be the month that you need to fix your stove. And all of a sudden you do that, and that's a variable cost. But the next month, hopefully, you don't have to do that again. And then our success criteria, hopefully you can do these things in order to be comfortable with this material. All right, so now that we've gone over a review of what the content is, what we've covered this week, we are now, excuse me, I seem to have the yawns. Okay, we are now going to do some mixed practice. So I've taken questions that cover that material that we've just talked about, and I've mixed them up. So we don't know for certain if we're doing overtime question or if we're doing monthly expenses question. We have to figure that out based on what the question is asking. So that's part of what we're practicing. We're practicing actually doing the math, but also understanding what the question is asking so that we can critically think about the tools and the strategies that we can use. All right, so question number 1. All works for a landscaping company in the summer. For each lawn they earn $15. Determine how much they would earn in a day if they cut 10 lawns. Sorry, so many typos on this page. Obviously, I wasn't awake when anyway, my bad. It happens. So if they cut 10 lawns, so their pay is $15 per lawn times 10 lawns equals $150. So if they cut 10 lawns a day, they make $150. Determine how much they would earn in a 5-day week if they cut 8 lawns a day. So if to do this, we need to say, okay, well, first for 1 day, it's $15 times 8. So $15 times 8. Well, I know that $15 times 10 is 150. And this is 2 less jobs. So that's $30 less. So this is going to be 120. Totally, you can use your calculator, but you can also use strategies like that using friendly numbers to help figure it out if that works for you. So then for 5 days, you know that it's 120 a day times 5 is equal to 5 times 100 is 500. 5 times 20 is 100. So 500 plus 100 is $600. So Al would earn $600 that week if they cut 8 lawns every day for 5 days. All right, number 2. Oh, and that would be a piecework question, right? So we're finding out how much they do per piece of work, how much they make. So that is, I'm just going to write a note that this is piecework to help us learn how to identify questions. All right, question 2. Devin earns a monthly salary of $2,650. How much does he earn a year? B, semi-monthly, or C, biweekly? So this is a salary question because we have the monthly salary and we need to figure out other pay schedules to figure out just to understand that. So if this is monthly salary is $2,650. So then for a year, we know that there are 12 months per year. So that means that we do 12 times 2,650, which is equal to, and I'm going to use my calculator for this one because my brain doesn't want to do it. So 12 times 2,650 is equal to 31,800. So a year, Devin makes $31,800 a year. Now, for semi-monthly is part B. So we can do this. There's 2 different ways that we can do this. Sorry. We can do this so that we know that semi-monthly is twice a month. So because we know his monthly salary is 2,650, we can divide. So method 1, we could do 2,650 divided by 2. And that is going to be 1,325. That one I can do in my head, not too trickily. So semi-monthly would be 1,325. The other method that we could do is take our yearly amount, $31,800, and we could divide it by 24 because there are 24 semi-monthly payments, twice a month payments in a year. So then if we were to do it that way, we would do 31,800 divided by 24. And that equals 1,325. It equals the same amount, which is what we hope. Don't know why it keeps jumping. Sorry about that. So you can do it either way, and that is fine. Whatever makes more sense for you. Now, bi-weekly, which is part C, we can't do it in two different ways because monthly isn't, we can't divide monthly into a common number of weeks. So bi-weekly, we need to go back to our yearly amount. So because there are 26 a year, 26 bi-weekly payments a year, so we need to go from 31,800 divided by 26. So 31,800 divided by 26 is equal to $1,223.08. 1223.08. So this one, we have to go back to our yearly. So often we have to go to our yearly amount in order to figure it out because we know how many weeks, how many months, how many semi-monthly, how many bi-weekly payments are in a year. So doing it from year can be really useful. But sometimes there's another method that we can do that is logical. You don't have to do it. As you saw with part B, there can be more than one way. I'm not looking necessarily for a particular way. You can do it for B either one of these ways and you totally get the right answer, and that's totally a legitimate way to do it. But some of them bi-weekly, for example, there's only really one way to do it to get the accurate answer, because you can't say, well, there's 4 weeks in a month and therefore I can just do it, divide the months into 2, because then that's what semi-monthly is. So you wouldn't get the right answer. As you can see, semi-monthly and bi-weekly are close, but slightly different. So it's just important to be paying attention to the overall picture. Okay, keep going. All right, number 3, Julie earns $55,000 as a data entry clerk. Calculate her annual net pay. So this is a deductions question because we're looking for the annual net pay and we need to figure out what we have to deduct, which we've talked about is kind of tricky. We're going to talk about more next week in terms of taxes, but we'll do our best. So EI, we know that we deduct, we do our salary, our yearly salary, because we're looking for our annual amount. So we do 55,000 times our EI rate, which is 1.58%, so 0.0158. And we're going to use our calculator to do that. So 55,000 times 0.0158, which gives us an answer of 869. So then we look and we say, okay, EI, we can pay up to $889.54. We're not over that. 869 is not over that. So we pay $869 in income or in EI deductions. So then for CPP, we do the same thing, 55,000 times our CPP percentage. So 5.45%, so 0.0545, which 55,000 times 0.0545 equals $2,997.50. Sorry, $29.97.50. Okay, so then we look back and we say, okay, well, CPP, we only pay up to $2,898. And with our calculation, that is over. Our calculation is above that. So that means that we're paying the maximum. We don't pay the amount that we calculated, but we pay the maximum amount because the amount that we calculated is more than the maximum amount, and everybody just pays the maximum, even if they're doing the percentage would be more. Okay, and then income tax. This is a tricky one. So and we're going to talk about more about this next week. So if it's too confusing, no worries about paying too much attention to it right now. So for income tax on the first $50,197, we pay 15%. So Julie makes more than that. So that means we do $50,197 times 0.15 is equal to $7,529.55. 75.29.55. Okay, and then on the next portion of our income that is between $50,197 and $100,392, we pay 20.5%. So we need to figure out how much of our income actually falls in that bracket. We know that she doesn't have more than that amount, so she's only going to be in that bracket, but we don't know how much because we've already taxed some of her money. So to figure that out, we say, okay, well, she makes $55,000 a year in total, and we've already taxed $50,197. So we're going to subtract that. So $4,803 is how much is in the second tax bracket. Sorry, I can't find my pencil. $4,803 times 0.205. So we do that calculation. Equals $984.62. 984.62. So then in total, the taxes that she pays is adding these to the two tax brackets amounts. So $7,529.55 plus $984.62 is equal to $8,514.17. 8514.17. So that's how much income tax she would pay over the course of the year. So then her net income, we do 55,000, take away our EI deductions, $869, and then our CPP deductions, $2,898, and then our income tax, $8,514.17. So we're going to do that subtraction on our calculator. Writing it all down means that if you make a mistake, if you forget a number, if you write a number down wrong by accident, and then put that number in your calculator, helps me track it, helps me understand where you maybe went wrong. It can be a pain. I know it takes time and space to actually write it all down, but it can be helpful to understand what's going on. So then our answer, so our net income is $42,718.83. 42,718.83. Sure I got that quite right. We'll check again. Yeah, okay. So that's her annual net income. Then part B says, assuming she's paid bi-weekly, what is her net pay for one pay period? So what this means is that how much does she actually take home for one pay period? So we can take her annual net pay, $42,718.83, and divide it by 26 because bi-weekly is 26 payments a year. So we do that and we get $1,643.03. 1643.03. So her biweekly pay, take-home pay, is going to be $1,643.03. And that's how we figure out the deductions. All right, keep going. Number 4, Bert works a minimum wage job. If he works more than 38 hours in a week, he gets paid time and a half. So because this is talking about working more than his usual hours and getting paid time and a half, we know that this is an overtime question. So part A, how much does Bert earn in a regular work week? So assuming that a regular work week is 38 hours, that's what it's seeming to indicate. If Bert makes minimum wage, that's $15 an hour times 38 hours. So doing that on our calculator, 15 times 38 is equal to 570. So in a usual week, Bert earns $570. Part B, 1 week, Bert earns 48, works 48 hours. So what is his pay for that week? So we already know what it is for 38 hours. So we just need to figure out what the extra 10 hours are. But we need to figure out what the rate is. So what is the overtime rate? So he gets paid time and a half for overtime work. So that's 15 is his usual rate times time and a half. So 15 times 1.5 is $22.50. And with time, you might get remembering. I remembered it was 22 something, but I didn't remember it was $22.50. So his overtime rate is $22.50. So that means for the overtime hours, he earns for 10 hours. So 10 times $22.50 is going to be $225 is his overtime work. That's how much he gets paid for overtime. So that his total pay for the week is going to be his regular amount. So 570 plus his overtime amount, which is 225. And so that equals $795 is how much he would make in that week. Okay. Number 5, Claudia would like to earn $500 a week. She has 3 part-time job offers. Which should she choose and why? So far, we're not quite sure what kind of question this is. Job A pays $10 an hour for 24 hours a week. Job B pays $7 an hour for 18 hours a week, plus 5% commission on sales that usually average to about $2,500 a week. And then job C pays $6.85 an hour plus $10 each hour in tips for about 16 hours per week. So figure out which job she's going to pay. This is a commission job because we have to figure out which one we have some commission to figure out. So we're going to have to do it in 3 parts. We're going to have to look at all the jobs and figure out what is the best option for Claudia. So if for job A pays $10 an hour for 24 hours a week. So that means we do 10 times 24 equals $240 a week. Okay, so we know what that is. Obviously, none of this is minimum wage. This is not an actual realistic job. Even if you're working part-time, you still should be paying minimum wage. You're working less hours, not for a lower rate. But this is just math. So sorry, I needed to tweak those to make them more realistic. Okay, so job B pays $7 an hour for 18 hours a week, plus 5% commission. So first, let's find the base wage. So the base wage is $7 times 18 hours. So 7 times 18 hours is equal to $126. So she makes a base wage of $126. And then she earns, so that her commission is 5%, so 0.05 times 2,500. So this says on sales that usually average to about 2,500 a week. Obviously, we don't know, we can't know exactly how much it's going to be, but this gives us a rough estimate that usually, sometimes it might be a little bit more, sometimes it might be a little bit less, but that gives us a rough idea of how much it usually is. So then we calculate that. So 0.05 for 5% times 2,500 equals $125. So add them together and we get $251 is how much you would make in job B. And then job C, we look and we say, okay, so it's $6.85 an hour plus about $10 each hour in tips for about 16 hours per week. So we're going to see, so for the wage, it is $6.85 times 16. $6.85 times 16 is equal to $109.60. And then the tips are $10 an hour times, so 16 hours a week. So that's 160. So then the total, we add them together, and that's $269.60. So we figured out how much she would make roughly a week for each of those jobs. And so then we look and we can see, all right, so none of them are going, she'd like to earn $500 a week. So none of them would she earn enough to make $500 a week. So job A is $240 a week, job B is $251 a week, and job C is $269.60 a week. So she can't just work one of those jobs. If it was possible, she could work two of the jobs and make $500 a week. So job C makes the most for the least number of hours. She makes $269.60 for only 16 hours of work. So that looks like a good one to consider. And then the other two, she could pick either one of the other two and she would still make $500 a week. But job B is for 18 hours, whereas job A is for 24 hours. So job B, she makes more per hour. She makes $250 for only 18 hours, whereas she makes $240, she makes less money and works more hours for job A. So Claudia could work both jobs B and C to make $100 a week if scheduling allowed. Because if they happen at the same time, that wouldn't work. We don't know what the jobs are. So we can't guarantee, who knows, maybe they're both serving jobs and so they both would, yeah, who knows. But that's the only way that she would make $500 a week. Okay, let's keep going. All right, number 6. Below is a list of expenses. Decide if they are fixed or variable and what the monthly amount for each would be. Okay, so I've organized this in a table and just to sort of keep it easier to understand. So we have a list of expenses, we have the frequency, so how often we pay that, we have amount that we pay at that frequency, then we need to decide if it's fixed or variable, and then we need to figure out what the monthly amount is. So rent is monthly and it's $750, and that is a fixed amount, right? Rent is going to always be the same. And so monthly, it's going to be $750. Utilities are monthly for $300. That is also fixed. We're going to assume we're going to just Utilities can be complicated if it includes heat, because that can vary, but utilities, we're just going to say is fixed. Car insurance is monthly for $200. Car insurance is also fixed for monthly $200. Groceries are weekly for $150. So groceries are variable. It depends, but you're sort of budgeting $150 weekly. So then for the monthly amount, you can do like roughly there's like 4 to 4.5 weeks per month. So I would say, to be on the safe side, do 4.5 times your 150. So 4.5 times 150 equals 675. So the monthly amount for groceries is going to be about 655. 675, 675, my bad. My computer is not letting me. Okay, sorry. So groceries are going to be roughly $675 a month. Internet is monthly for $95. That's fixed. Monthly for $95. Cell phone is monthly for $100. That's also fixed. Gas is weekly for $90. That's variable. You don't know how much gas you're necessarily going to use. So again, 4.5 times 90 equals $405 a month in gas. Entertainment is weekly at $30, so that is variable. So 4.5 times 30 is, you could just do 4 because 4 might be easier to just multiply. That's fine. 4.5 times 30 is 135. I'm budgeting on the higher end to give myself some wiggle room. And then miscellaneous, because sometimes you just don't know what might come up. This in my budget, I call this stuff I forgot to budget for, but just miscellaneous things that you can't be guaranteed or sure about. So 4.5 times 70. 4.5 times 70 is 350. Okay, so part A, determine the net monthly income that would be needed to pay all the fixed expenses. So basically, how much are all your fixed expenses? So we have rent, $750, plus utilities, $300, plus car insurance, $200, plus internet, $95, plus cell phone, $100, plus, oh no, that's the last one. Okay, so that equals, so add them all together. Again, writing them down means that you have already figured out which ones are the fixed costs and organize them, but you can do what makes most sense for you. So that's $1,445. So you'd have to take home at least $1,445 to cover all of your fixed expenses every month. And then what net income would be needed to cover all the expenses? So your fixed expenses. So we already added those ones up, plus your variable expenses. So $675 for groceries, plus $405 for gas, plus $135 for entertainment, and plus $350 for your miscellaneous. So adding those up gets us to almost there, $2,975. So you would have to have a net income. So how much you take home would have to be at least $2,975 a month in order to cover all of your expenses.
If you have any questions, give me a call at the office at 807-737-1488 or toll free 1-800-667-3703. Send me an email at bronwyn.slate. That's BRONWYN.SLATE@nnec.on.ca. Connect with me through Facebook at bslatewasa. And remember, all of our lessons will be up on YouTube at bslatewasa. It's the name of the channel there. And there's a playlist for MEL3E where all of our course materials will be posted. My office hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Thank you so much for joining me today. Miigwech.